They say stay away from anyone that isn't quite the same. What's lost isn't worth the cost. It's time we start changing up the rules of the game.
You're now tuned in to the Matthews and McGuire Show with your hosts, Mike C. Matthews and Leana Del McGuire, here to bring you a diverse perspective on what's worth talking about and why.
Here's the deal.
Oh, man, what's the deal?
The deal is dating. Come on, help me out here, Mike. Help me, Michael. Mike and I have a similar challenge when it comes to dating because we have very busy, focused lives.
Yes.
And we're both finding it very difficult to meet people who are tolerant of that.
Exactly.
It's tough.
It's really tough because, you know, I'm going to speak for myself here. I always run into females who want the ring, want the wedding, want the kids and the big house and all this stuff, and they're not they want that, but they don't want the process that it takes to get there. And every time I meet a young lady and I ask them, you know, what do you want in a man? And they always say, I want someone that's hardworking, someone that's ambitious, someone that wants everything out of life and all this stuff, right? And as soon as you get with them, they want to be all clingy and they want to take up your time. So I said, how do you want an ambitious man? Like, you don't. What you want is a guy who does the bare minimum, that has a shitload of time for you to waste. That's what you want. You don't want an ambitious man because you don't have to compromise. He's not going to have enough time to snuggle with you on the couch and watch The Apprentice. Like, he's not going to have enough time to do that. So it's one or the other. Either you want a go-getter, an ambitious person, or you want a teddy bear who's going to be on your bed anytime you want, or who's going to walk around the house with you. Like, it's a trade-off you have to take.
It is a trade-off. And, I mean, I get it. And I think there is a certain reflection of demographic here because we talk about demographic because girls your age certainly think differently than women my age because most of us have had the white wedding. And we could care less now, right?
Yeah.
But when we're younger, and I mean, I hung out with them. I was there too. I got married really young. I was 22. I hate to admit. Yeah. Well, we're not together. We haven't been together for a very long time. But when we're younger, it is. I really wasn't all that. The wedding wasn't the big important piece to me then.
What was important to you?
Being with somebody. It was really important for me to be with somebody. But there was also a social expectation that I be with somebody. And literally, I think I was telling you at some point tonight that really our proposal was, I don't know, what do you want to do now? I don't know. Want to get married? Yeah, okay. Because we'd been together since I was 16, and it was a small town, and that's kind of how we made that decision. Romantic, I know.
He didn't even get on one knee or anything.
No.
He just said, look, we're bored. Let's just get married.
Yeah, what's next? What happens now? So that's kind of what happened next. But young women, they do get wrapped up in that stuff. And we live in Dallas. I got news for you. Dallas is all about that stuff, right? That's another thing. They're all about what you drive in, what you got on the finger, how big the wedding is. I mean, people spend $40,000 on weddings.
That's crazy.
What kind of nonsense?
Yeah, I was at work and one of the guys, and they're well off. They had a lot of money. And the guy was like, you know, her budget is $35,000. So I looked and said, you're about to give your daughter $35,000 for a wedding? He said, well, you know, if she was smart, she would save half of it, you know, and buy a car with it.
Yeah, she's not going
to do it. She's going to go and buy the huge cake, you know.
And here, honestly, I could not believe when I moved to Dallas and I went to a friend's wedding, and at the wedding was a giant 16 by something 20 portrait of just the bride. Now, you open up newspapers and look at wedding announcements, it's just the bride. Where the hell's the guy? It has nothing to do with him.
Because,
literally.
You know, they're trying to appeal to the emotions, and they know what the emotions lie. But the point of the show today is what we're talking about. It's so hard to date nowadays if you're a driven individual. When you have priorities lined up and you have this goal that's burning inside of your soul, and every day you wake up, that's all you're thinking about. And then you have these people that tag along that want to suck up your time. And it's so crazy because it's like I find myself suppressing what I'm truly interested in when I'm around females today. Because I'm truly interested in my goals and writing my book and building my business. I'm interested in that stuff. And when I meet a female, she says she wants to get to know me, but she doesn't want to hear that stuff. She wants to get to know the shallow me.
Because
and
it's
so
traditional.
hard to date these days.
Well, for people like us, because we literally are not traditional people. And traditionally, you got to spend a lot of time together to have a decent relationship.
You do.
Obviously, we're single.
Yep.
Let me just clarify that. But the normal expectation is that you spend huge amounts of time together and you come into this relationship to complete each other. I mean, Walt Disney's been shoving that down our throat for 50 years.
Exactly.
But when you're people like us who are driven with a passion, what we really need is someone who has an equal passion for something they're doing.
Yes.
Because then you can come together once or twice a week or however often, and it's golden. You can spend the time together. But man, is it hard to find people who are at that same place and want to do that same thing, right?
You're so right. And you talk about getting together twice a week and all this. You know, I always ask a girl, what's your ideal date? And they always talk about going out to eat and all this. I've been to all the fancy restaurants. I've been to all that. My ideal date is for you to grab your goals and you to grab your project you're working on. Let's go to Starbucks. Let's talk.
Hang out.
Let's hang out. You work on your stuff. I work on my stuff. Let's, share a frappe. I don't know what we'll do. Let's work on our goals together. That's a great date for me.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But you'd rather go watch some stupid movie and buy the expensive popcorn that's like $75.
And a love story that reinforces the traditional approach.
Exactly. And it's like, and then you have people who want, like, and I don't know if you run into this, they want you to make a decision between them and your goals, or them and your grind, them and your book, them and your speaking business, them and a podcast. They want you to make a decision. And I don't know about you, and I think I speak for both of us. It's not them. I'm not picking them over this because we want this better than anything. And it's like they need to understand that in order to get deep down and build a relationship with us, they have to be a part of the grind or even have their own grind. And let's get together.
That's it. It's have your own grind.
Have your own grind.
And I know that it may sound like we put our ambitions ahead of personal relationships, but the key is that it's actually, I do believe it's possible to have both. Again, if you have two people who have a similar path. But it's hard to find people who are like-minded, period.
Right.
So it's really a challenge for us to find people who are like-minded, have a busy, passionate life that they're focused on, who are entrepreneurial, and who you're actually attracted to.
That's a deadly three.
It's so hard to
finding a needle in a haystack, like that's really hard to find.
It is a needle in a haystack. So it's challenging for us for sure. But yeah, most people want a traditional, and I spend a lot of time by myself. I spend a lot of time working on my book. I spend a lot of time doing research, and I've certainly had a challenge in recent relationships with that very issue. And because people see traditionally, if you're not wanting to spend a whole lot of time with me, there's got to be something wrong. I mean, I had someone think that I was messing around on him. I don't do that. I don't have time.
God.
I haven't have time. I have enough trouble finding time for one man. Literally, really two? I could not handle that.
You need two people in your life that's not interested in what you have going on?
Never going to happen. Never going to happen. And you got to, you want people... Here I'm saying here's the deal again, but here's the deal. You want people in your life who love you enough to support everything you're doing, help you with that, and vice versa. It's not that we don't want to have someone in our life. That's not the point, but we need to have a mutual growth kind of relationship.
Exactly.
It's not going to work otherwise for someone like us.
And here's part two of the deal. Part two of the deal is that if you're someone like us that's driven, that you have goals, you have stuff that's burning inside of you, stuff that you want to accomplish. Big gigantic goals. I'm not talking about hopping over the table. I'm talking about real deal goals. If you have that, and you're meeting people who want you to compromise what you want to be with them, no, don't settle. Don't settle. Don't settle. Because if they don't want to be a part of your grind, you don't need them.
You have to be willing to accept someone entirely for who they are, and find someone who's willing to accept you for entirely who you are, and not just want to be with you for
companionship.
Or for your generation, and I know this with young women, I'm not blaming them. Society points that they've been watching princess movies since they were this big, and it's all about the prince coming and saving the day and happily ever after and the diamond ring. I had a really good friend of mine tell me a story about a woman that he was engaged with for a long time, and it didn't work out, and he laughed at the time saying this, but he meant it. And I should have known something was up when I asked her what kind of ring she wanted, and she said, "I don't care as long as it's big." And I said to him, if the response is not, "I don't care about the ring, I'm just glad to be with you," then she needs to go.
She does need to go.
It's a thing.
And first of all, they talking about the standard now is that the ring needs to be 25% of a man's salary.
Come on.
I would never, spending $25,000 to $30,000 on a ring.
And 40 on a wedding.
That's stupid.
10 on the honeymoon. Don't even mention the engagement party.
Oh my God.
It's just.
And you got the people who want to eat, so the reception is probably expensive.
And then you got people out there who just want to eat. Give them $5 so they can eat, and you're spending cumulatively something like 70 or 75%. Or $75,000 on a cumulative, all the stuff that goes into this one day. And what's the divorce rate? 50% now or something?
It's high. I think it's higher than that.
Why?
Here's the biggest point of all this stuff. A person needs to want to be with you for you, not all the aesthetics, not the wedding, not all this other garbage. Because at the end of the day, love wears off. Maybe the attraction wears off.
Sexual attraction.
Sexual attraction wears off.
The love doesn't.
The love doesn't. Good correction
with
on
any
that.
Luck.
So the sexual attraction wears off, and you're left with the thing that really matters, and that's your friendship. That's how deep you guys got in really getting to know each other. And a lot of people don't spend time there. And if you're a driven individual, in order for them to get to know you, they need to get to know what you have your hands on right now.
And I know we sound harsh, but there is a price to pay for pretending to be something you're not in order to make your partner happy. There's a big price to pay for that. If you're humoring somebody and going to see all these love story movies and playing the game, and then 5 months into the marriage she's wondering what the hell, or vice versa, you're going to all the football games and playing that, wearing the short skirt, doing that thing, and 5 years into you're like, I hate football. What the heck? You can't do that to people. You can't do that to people. You have to be true to who you are. And I know that this is probably controversial. People are probably thinking we're just off on our own
we're
agenda.
Self-absorbed and all
and we
stuff.
do want to hear from you. For those of you who don't think we're off on our agenda, again, we're single and our number is... No, I'm just kidding. For those of you who actually get it, yeah, we want to hear from you too. I'm sure there are people out there who get that. I don't think it's... Yeah, there's a lot of people who... You were talking about a friend that said she wants to have her own gig, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't want to... You need that. You need people who are balanced enough to have their own gig and not be dependent on a relationship for happiness. That's the thing.
That is the thing. And I challenge you to be one with yourself, and don't settle. And don't just settle for anything. And get you a person who has their own grind. And you guys get together and help each other get there.
And I think if you hold out for that kind of relationship, it's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be well worth it.
We will someday.
You don't have to choose between the girl and the grind, or the man and the grind. You don't have to choose all or nothing.
That's right. I agree with that. 100%.
Hit it.
Hit it.
This is Matthews and McGuire signing out. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the Matthews and McGuire Show on iTunes. Don't keep this show to yourself. Like our Facebook fan page, leave a comment, and share this episode with a friend. Harness the power of difference.